Martell Holt always believed he could hold it together, no matter how hard life tried to tear him apart. For years, he carried himself like a man who could handle anything: court battles, public humiliation, failed relationships. He wore pride like armor. But no armor can protect you when the attack comes from your own home. Because this time, it wasn't the media dragging him, it wasn't fans debating him online, it was his own children. The same kids he had once called his legacy, his world, his proof that he was more than his mistakes. When they pulled away, refusing to stand beside him, the man who once saw himself as unbreakable finally broke. Late one night, he sat alone. No cameras. No filters. No defense left. Just tears, real, heavy, unstoppable tears. That moment wasn't about losing fame. It wasn't about money. It was about something far deeper: a father realizing that the love he took for granted had finally run out. And the world watched as Martell Holt, once the confident face of Love and Marriage Huntsville, faced the most painful kind of loss: the loss of his children's trust. To understand how it got this far, you have to go back. Before the chaos, before the scandals, before the endless court hearings, there was a man who wanted it all. Martell wanted success, recognition, love, and he wanted it fast. He and Melody Holt built their empire from the ground up. From real estate to television, from picture-perfect Instagram posts to matching family outfits, they became the couple people wanted to believe in. They were Black excellence personified, a young power couple showing the world that love and ambition could coexist. But behind the cameras, things weren't as beautiful as they seemed. The pressure to be perfect slowly turned into resentment. Martell's ego, once his greatest weapon, became his downfall. He started making choices that would haunt him for years, choices that fractured the trust not only between him and Melody but between him and his children. Affairs. Lies. Control. Each mistake chipped away at the family bond. And when the affair with Ariane Curry came to light, everything exploded. The show turned into a battleground. Melody filed for divorce. The internet picked sides. And suddenly, Martell's image as the doting father started to crumble. But the real story wasn't on TV. It was in the quiet pain his children carried. They didn't care about ratings, gossip blogs, or hashtags. They cared about stability, love, and peace. And for a long time, they didn't have any of that. At first, Martell tried to fight the narrative. He went online, defending himself, posting family photos, trying to prove that he was still a good dad. But fans started noticing inconsistencies. When it came to Melody's kids, he kept things private. But with his child from Ariane, he was loud, open, and constantly posting. People began to ask, why the double standard? Why claim to fight for your kids on one side while publicly glorifying your affair on the other? The kids noticed it too. They saw the difference in how their father acted. They saw him go live on Instagram instead of showing up at events. They saw arguments turn into court filings. They saw the man they called dad spend more time defending himself to strangers than protecting them from chaos. Slowly, the disappointment turned into distance. And distance turned into silence. That's what Martell didn't understand. Children don't always announce when they've had enough. They just stop trying. In the years that followed, his public image only worsened. 2 domestic violence guilty pleas. Multiple violations of court orders. Endless online rants that made him look more bitter than broken. Every time he tried to clear his name, he only made the mess louder. Meanwhile, Melody kept moving. Quietly. Consistently. She focused on her music, her businesses, and most importantly, her children. She gave them structure and stability, while Martell gave them confusion and conflict. By 2025, the tables had turned completely. Melody's calm became her strength. Martell's noise became his weakness. And when the custody trial loomed, even his most loyal supporters started to doubt him. But here's the part that truly broke him: it wasn't the court's verdict. It was what happened at home. The kids, who once defended him when fans criticized, now didn't want to be involved. They didn't want to pick sides anymore. They didn't want to be dragged back into the spotlight. According to people close to the family, Martell had tried to get them to speak up for him, record messages, appear in videos, maybe show a united front. But the kids refused. They were tired. Tired of fighting, tired of pretending, tired of seeing their parents at war. When that message came through a soft but firm no, Martell broke. He wasn't expecting it. He had convinced himself that, no matter what, his children would always see him as the hero. But they didn't. Not anymore. What nobody expected was how emotional that moment would be. Martell went live shortly after, his eyes red, his voice trembling. It wasn't the confident tone people were used to. He wasn't angry or defensive this time. He was defeated. His words stumbled out between breaths. "I've done everything for my kids," he said, choking back tears. "I just want them to know I love them." For a few seconds, the mask slipped. The pain was raw, undeniable. The man who spent years controlling the narrative finally had no story left to tell. Only truth. But even in that breakdown, people were divided. Some saw a father finally facing his humanity. Others saw manipulation, a man trying to gain sympathy after losing everything. Because Martell's biggest flaw had always been pride. The inability to admit when he was wrong, to take accountability without turning himself into the victim. And when that pride collided with the reality that his children had emotionally disconnected, it shattered him. Behind the scenes, things only grew colder. Family friends revealed that communication between Martell and the kids became strained. Calls unanswered. Messages ignored. Holidays skipped. The same man who once hosted grand family dinners was now spending them alone. He tried showing up unannounced, bringing gifts, posting throwback photos of happier times, but it didn't fix anything. The damage was emotional, not material. Because for kids, love isn't about money or apologies, it's about safety. And once that sense of safety is broken, it takes years to rebuild. Martell had spent so much time trying to win the public that he lost his private peace. The irony was cruel. The man who talked about being a family man ended up without a family standing beside him. But here's what cuts the deepest: this wasn't about hate. The kids didn't hate their father. They just couldn't support him anymore. They couldn't pretend. They had seen too much. They had seen tears from their mother. They had seen the yelling, the legal threats, the broken promises. They had seen their dad more concerned about image than healing. And when kids grow up in chaos, their silence is not rebellion, it's survival. So, when Martell's children finally said no, it wasn't out of cruelty. It was out of exhaustion. They wanted peace, even if it meant stepping away from their father. And Martell, for once, had no one left to blame. Not the media, not the courts, not Melody. Just himself. That realization is what broke him completely. Because no matter how hard he tried to paint himself as the victim, deep down, he knew. The truth always catches up, and this time, it came wearing the faces of his own children. After his breakdown, fans saw a different side of Martell. He stopped posting as much. His interviews grew shorter. His energy, once full of fight, became subdued. People close to him said he started therapy quietly. No announcements, no hashtags, just trying to understand where everything went wrong. It's unclear whether reconciliation is possible. The trust between him and his children was built on promises that can't be unbroken with a single apology. But for the first time, Martell seemed to realize that being a father isn't about control, it's about presence. He once fought for his kids in court, but never fought for peace in their hearts. And now, that's the only fight that matters. The emotional impact of this fallout runs deeper than any custody verdict. For Martell, it's the humiliation of knowing that love can't be commanded. You can't demand loyalty from the people you've hurt. You have to earn it. For Melody, it's bittersweet vindication. She never needed to drag him through the mud, life did that for her. Her consistency spoke louder than any speech. And for the children, it's both painful and freeing. Painful to watch their father crumble, but freeing to finally choose peace over chaos. What the world saw as a breakdown was, in truth, a revelation, a man realizing that all the fame, charm, and confidence in the world mean nothing if the people you love don't feel safe with you. In that final scene, Martell sitting alone, his phone glowing in the dark, tears sliding down his face, you see more than heartbreak. You see consequence. The consequence of pride. The cost of refusing to change. He once believed he could outtalk, outshine, and outlast any storm. But some storms aren't meant to be fought, they're meant to humble you. He used to think being a man meant being strong. Now, he's learning that being a man means being honest. No one knows what the future holds. Maybe one day, there'll be forgiveness. Maybe there'll be healing. Maybe the father and children will sit down, away from cameras, and talk like family again. But for now, the silence speaks louder than words. And in that silence, Martell Holt is finally facing the truth. He didn't just lose support. He lost the people who once believed in him the most.